Valley Vocational Technical School District School Committee meeting of February 23rd, 2021. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law and the governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitation on the number of people that may gather in one place, this meeting of the Shawsheen Valley Regional Vocational Technical School District Committee will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to listen or watch the meeting may do so by accessing the meeting link that was posted. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so, despite best efforts, we will post on the Shawsheen website an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. Okay, so roll call. We have Kent Moffett, Taryn Gillis, Ron Fusco, Nancy Asbedian, Superintendent Jackson, Melanie Hagman, myself, and our two new student reps, Muhammad Ali Khalifi from Billerica and Madison Fusco from Wilmington. Welcome. And last but not least, Glenn McIntyre, who has served over 10 years on our committee, and this will be his last meeting. He has served well for us. He has been on several subcommittees and chaired a couple subcommittees, and we will miss him. So thank you, Glenn.
Well, hopefully, as Brad suggested, we'll have a get together with everyone once this whole COVID thing is over.
Absolutely.
That's true.
Definitely, Glenn.
Yeah, invite me back for one of the meals.
Yes, Glenn, we'll have a big
Yeah,
get
good,
together.
okay.
Yes, Glenn.
I'm waiting for
Thank you,
one.
Glenn. Thank you.
That's right.
Thank you for your time and service.
Thank you so much. All right, first on the agenda is our public hearing for the FY 2022 budget. And Mr. Jackson will give us a little report on it, and then we'll let people call in. Or is Melanie doing? Yeah, Brad is doing it.
Yeah,
right?
I'm going to try to do it. See if I can pick my right screen here.
There you go.
So can everybody see that?
Yep.
That is, so I'm going to go through this very quickly. This is an abbreviated presentations about the budget, so people can have something to comment on for the public hearing. There'll be an opportunity for school committee members to ask questions later in the meeting agenda. So basically, people always seem to think school budgets are pretty complicated things, and I found over the years that they really aren't. Basically, you take your existing budget that you have and you look at it line by line to look for places where you can decrease costs or places where cost increases are warranted or needed based on inflation, based on changes to contracts, et cetera. And then I've added a third piece to this, which is what I call strategic improvement initiatives, which are separate and new items that I keep separate from the fixed costs so that the school committee has something they can focus on during their discussion. And the sum of those three things equals my recommended budget. So in terms of fixed cost changes, the predominant fixed cost change in our budget is our contractual obligations to staff. This is primarily based on settled collective bargaining agreements with unions. And those costs are very easily understood based on existing staff. We know where they'll be on the salary scale next year, and we can place them on the salary scale and calculate the difference. We do take into account known retirements where we have confirmed information about intent to retire and replace those traditionally senior costs with less senior costs. Next is student transportation. Our student transportation contract is up this year, and we are anticipating a sizable increase, both based on the lack of competition that comes out of the student transportation realm, as well as the fact that our revolving account that we used for set asides for student transportation, we took money out of it last year, and that money is not available this year. So that's kind of a double whammy for us. The third contractual obligation is our non-settled contracts, which are contracts that collective bargaining agreements that are currently in negotiations, and our unaffiliated employees. Those are employees that do not belong to a collective bargaining unit. And those folks are all assigned the COLA increase that the school committee negotiated with the STA. And then under contractual obligations for contract cleaners, that's the group that does a great job keeping our schools clean during the day and in the evening. And that we know that we expect that cost to increase by over $37,000. The good news is that our 2011 and 2016 bonds have been paid off. Last year was the last year, so there was $225,300 in the budget last year to make those final payments. Those payments are not required this year, so that line item is actually going down significantly. And then the rest of all of those line items, pages and pages of them that you have in your line item budget is going down an aggregate of $1,362. So Melanie and I are budgeting a fixed cost increase of $792,440. So strategic improvement initiatives are areas that I like to highlight in a budget presentation that are either new programs or new personnel that are designed to improve the instruction or student experience or improve cost efficiencies of operations. And there are two of them that I'm recommending. One is an additional 1.0 FTE. FTE stands for full-time equivalent. So that's a full-time special education teacher. And then I'm recommending the reorganization of the special education and guidance and health services departments into one department called student services. And I'll get into the particulars of each of those in the following slides. So the first initiative is for a new special ed teacher. Our special ed student numbers continue to far exceed those of all of our sending districts they have at their high school. 30% of our student population are students on IEPs. And we have been significantly understaffed in the area of special education and have not been able to keeping pace with the increased number of students. This additional teacher will bring our caseloads closer to the 25 students per teacher goal that Mr. Albert has set, and will allow us to significantly manage the compliance issues that we've had with our special ed timelines. We're also very excited that this capacity is also going to allow us to introduce co-teaching model into two of our courses in our grade 10 science course, excuse me, and our grade 12 mathematics for students, those courses that were designed for students on IEPs. And that we feel, and that information, we're going to talk about that, or we can answer questions about that either in the budget presentation, excuse me, or in the program of studies conversation that's going to take place later tonight. And we're also looking at this teacher to be able to, this additional resource will be able to provide some special ed supports where needed in our related classes, which is an area that both Mr. Albert and I and Ms. Cook have been focusing on. In terms of our administrative reorganization, currently we have two departments, the Special Education Department, which is led by Jeff Albert, the Director of Special Education. Then we have a Guidance and Health Services Department, which houses our nurses and our guidance counselors. Both of those have an administrative director at the top of them. And do in some cases similar and in other cases dissimilar things. I have worked in a district, my previous district, we used what is a student services model, which basically puts all three of those functions under one individual, a director of student services, who in this model will be Mr. Albert, our current director of special education. And then under that individual would be three department heads: the current department head for special ed, the current department head for nursing, and then we would create a stipended department head position for guidance. And then the rest of the departments would fall under that. To me, this is a much more efficient model. It allows for a better collaboration between special education, health, and mental health, and which is, to me, the area where, and many times those issues are coexisting in our students who have significant needs, and oftentimes, when IEPs or 504s are required, they require either services from nursing or guidance or school psychologist or whatever. So this puts all of that work under one umbrella, and I think is much more efficient and actually is more cost effective as well. This initiative will allow me to reduce an administrative position in the district, which I do so reluctantly, but I do feel, given the fact that our sending communities are under some cost constraints this year, we have an obligation to pinch every penny we can in our budget to keep our assessments as low as possible. So this would allow us to reduce a full-time administrator who's currently the head of guidance, the director of guidance and health services. I am recommending a salary adjustment for Mr. Albert because he will be taking on additional duties. So that's an additional $10,000. And then the average department head stipend is $12,000. So the net of the savings and the two additional costs is a net savings of $93,556. So the total proposed new initiatives are actually quite thin when you look at it from a dollars and cents point of view. The additional FTE special education teacher budgeted at the $98,246 level. The administrative reorganization, which would result in a cost savings of $93,566, which would just mean those two new initiatives would net impact the budget a positive $4,680. So this is my recommended budget, the FY21 budget of $32,724,000. The fixed costs increase of $792,440 plus the recommended initiatives would yield a recommended budget of $33,521,391, which is a 2.44% increase. So that is the nutshell of the budget recommendation. This is our budget process. Where tonight we're having our public hearing, and the committee is scheduled to discuss and vote on the FY22 budget. Tomorrow, Ms. Hagman and I, is it tomorrow or Thursday? No, I'm starting to doubt myself. It's either tomorrow or Thursday. It is tomorrow. We have a meeting. Yeah, thanks. This week has been 6 days long already. We are meeting by phone with the at least 4 of the 5 town managers to review this voted budget and give them the final numbers. We have given them estimates up to this point in time that they have worked into their budget work, but this is our formal way to communicate that information with them. And then we'll be meeting with the finance committees in the 5 communities in March and April. And then we have town meeting purgatory from May 1st to May 15th in the 5 communities. So the public hearing on the FY22 budget is the opportunity for the public to comment on the proposed budget or to provide the school committee with input prior to your decision. It is a traditional way that people can, the public can access and provide input. It is one of 2 public hearings that are required by law annually. If you are interested in commenting on the public on the FY22 budget, tonight, February 23rd, when this meeting is live on February 23rd, 2021 at 7:45 p.m. You can dial either of those 2 numbers. Both of those numbers did appear also on the published agenda. Enter the meeting ID that is included on this slide. And then when prompted, enter the password. And you will come up on my screen as a requesting entry. And I can then allow you into the meeting to
Brad.
make a comment.
Brad,
Yes.
I believe we have to open the public hearing.
I believe that to be correct.
Thank you, Mr. Peterson. Chairman Muse, I'll make a motion to open a public hearing.
Okay,
Second,
second. All right, Mr. Peterson,
Yes.
Ms. Gillis,
yes.
Mr. Fusco,
Yes.
Mrs. Bedian,
Yep, yes.
Mr. McIntyre. The McIntyre is still there or no?
Yes.
Okay, and the chair votes yes. So the public hearing is open.
Thank you. We have a caller who I am going to admit to the meeting. And I would ask the caller to please identify themselves, name, address, including city and town, and then state your comment, please, for the school committee to hear. Just stand by. I'm gonna, for some reason, you are muted.
Can you hear me now?
There we go. Thank
Okay.
you.
It's Doreen Healy, Baldwin Road, Billerica, Mass. I was calling to ask, how many kids do we have on 504s right now?
So a public hearing is the opportunity to comment on the budget. It's, as I understand it, I'm not sure about the history in Shawsheen, but I'm not sure if it's a question and answer period. I can tell you I do not have that information at my fingertips right tonight.
Okay, all right, then Mike, maybe I can make a comment then.
That would be great.
Okay, what I was curious about is, first of all, this new special ed teacher sounds wonderful. And I think one is, a good start. I'm sure they're going to need more because there's a lot of places and vocational shops that may need some extra support for these kids, as we've learned in the past. So it's really not a savings in the budget when we get rid of one position and get another position, but at least we have some more support in special ed. I just get concerned. That's why I was asking about the 504s is to give someone that is in charge of the support service department and give them all these other responsibilities. I just hope that they have the support they need to do that, because when we're trying to clean up the special ed department, and now with COVID, and then we haven't even really dealt with COVID compensatory time, which I would imagine that's going to affect the budget in some way, that we really need to look at this reorganization. But I guess that's it, because I can't ask questions, but I appreciate the budget. It was really good, and thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Let me stop sharing my screen. Actually, I probably shouldn't have done that. Share my screen again so we can, so that number is up there in case there are people who have questions. I don't have any other call-ins at this moment. There was an opportunity. People could have called in and waited in a queue while the previous caller made their comments. So that's why there are two phone numbers. So at this point in time, I don't have any additional callers in the queue, Madam Chair.
Dr. Jackson?
Yeah.
I
Yes.
had a question, as this is my first public hearing. This isn't the place for questions, but how does the public get questions answered?
The public can always give me a call, or Ms. Hagman, or send emails.
Just the usual way then.
About the regular way, about budgets, or about anything they would ask about Shawsheen.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that that was the best plan. Thank you.
Great question, thank you. So we continue to not have any additional callers at this moment.
All right, Ms. Gillis, I will answer that. They actually could ask questions regarding the budget itself.
Oh, okay.
That's what a public hearing is about, okay? All right, I need a motion to come out of.
I'll make a motion that we end the public hearing.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Fusco,
Yes.
Mr. McIntyre,
Yes.
Ms. Esbedian.
Yes.
Excuse me, Madam Chair, we do have an additional caller. I don't mean to, I
That's all
don't
right.
want to, I excuse the interruption, but
That's
we
fine.
don't so rarely get callers. Do you
Oh,
mind
good.
if I admit
Oh,
the?
yes, let him.
Go ahead. Go ahead. We like the business.
All right, the new caller has been added to the link. If you could identify yourself, please. Make sure you, let me see if I can make sure that you are not muted. Can you, with the caller, with the last phone number of 352, please identify yourself and state your comment or ask your question about the budget.
Dr. Jackson, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay, great. My name is Uksan Norman. I'm on Baldwin Road in Billerica, Mass. So just a comment. I watched with some interest the budget subcommittee meeting from last week. And so just kind of listening through in terms of some of the comments you made, you talked specifically about salaries and females within the Shawsheen Tech administrative team. And I know that there was a budget line item in there for raises for those people. And you made the comment that you felt there was some disparity between males and females. I'm curious if this is going to apply, how many more female administrators are there? Is there more reckoning to be done when it comes to that? That was an interesting comment. I have kids in the system, grandkids, so I'm interested to hear a little bit more about that.
Thank you. I appreciate the question. My comment was not that I thought there was a disparity, but that I was concerned that one could perceive one to be that one could perceive there to be a disparity, because some of our female administrators had significantly less experience in their jobs than some of our very senior male administrators. There is a small line item in here to address what I consider to be a small pay inequity of 2 administrators who happen to be female. And it is kind of at the traditional time in the progress of an administrator when administrative salary ranges make jumps faster than inflation. You have to sometimes make salary adjustments to compensate for that, to keep people at the in line, to keep everything in line. So this is not an adjustment being made based on an inequity, but it was a concern. One of the issues, it's one of the lenses through which I look at all salaries, and I was commenting that it could be perceived as an inequity. I did not perceive it as such.
Okay, I appreciate that. I think, I definitely think we should be sensitive to that and want to ensure that, our administrators that work so hard are paid fairly. And certainly, I picked up on that comment. One other, I guess it's a statement question, but I didn't find this report, like the line item budget suggestion, to be available. How would I get a copy of that? Or is that available typically?
That will be, do we traditionally post that on our website once it's approved by the school committee? I kind of new here, so it is a public document. If it's not available on our website, you can request it and we'd be happy to email it to you.
Okay,
So if you
thank
just
you.
send me an email at bjackson@shawtech.org, we'll get that out to you tomorrow.
Yeah,
Perfect,
it should
thank
be
you.
posted after it's voted, but actually,
Yes.
this was this is what I was thinking, that they really should have seen it before we had this public hearing. That's why I asked you to do your,
Right, why we did the
Slides.
presentation.
Yeah.
All right, thank you for your call.
yes, thank you. All right, let's wait 1 minute.
1 more minute, Jack.
So next time we should know that, we should put the budget out before we have the hearing.
Well, they should be able to see it so they can comment on it.
That makes
I think
sense.
it's a good idea that people would have it before the hearing. So.
Right.
Yep.
And I guess just a follow up to Brad's question, is it standard practice, like once it's approved, like you would put it on like past budgets and the current budgets? Is that going to be, I mean, I'm new too, so is that I don't know what's been done in the
Well,
past.
I do know other schools post their budget, after it's voted on.
We'll be happy
Not
to do that.
before.
Well, they
Did we-
hand out, usually they have a handout. When it was in public, they'd have a little handout,
Right.
give a synopsis of the budget.
Handouts. I remember handouts.
Right,
Yep.
but we don't, but because of the situation we're in now, it's just not possible.
Yep. Yes.
So Ms. Muse, I don't have any other callers.
Oh, okay.
I'll make a
Now we
motion.
can vote again.
I'll make a motion. We close the public hearing.
Second,
Second,
All right, Mr. Fusco,
Yes.
Mrs. Bedian,
yes.
Ms. Gillis,
yes.
Mr. McIntyre,
Yes.
Mr. Peterson,
Yes.
Mr. Moffett,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes, so the public hearing is closed. And just for information for the committee members, we will discuss the budget during the subcommittee report. Okay, so if you have questions, wait till the subcommittee reports.
Okay.
All right. Now we will welcome our new two student representatives. And Muhammad Ali Khalifa, who is in electronics engineering technology in Billerica, and Madison Fusco, who's in drafting from Wilmington. So it's your turn to speak. So you'll have to unmute yourself because I always forget to do that myself.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Unfortunately, they probably have more experience in this than we do.
I would hope so.
Welcome.
Oh, Muhammad Ali. So is there anything you'd like to talk about tonight, or what the students are doing? How's school going?
Yes. So first and foremost, hope you guys are all well. I guess to like start off, I'll say the number of students that got high honor rolls for the second term. So there were 68 ninth graders, 50 10th graders, 39 11th graders, and 49 12th graders who got high honor roll. And of the
Awesome.
students who received honor roll were 129 ninth graders, 98 10th graders, 103 11th graders, and 105 12th graders.
That's wonderful.
Great.
And with boys and girls basketball and boys hockey coming to a close, the fall 2 sports season is just only beginning. And tryouts started this week for girls volleyball, football, and football cheerleading, which I hope goes well for them considering COVID.
Oh, very good. How did the teams do?
I have honestly
No idea. That's okay.
yeah, I don't even know if the game's happened yet.
No, I mean,
Oh.
in the,
Oh, the winter.
May I answer that?
yes.
Okay, go ahead, Mama
The
Gillis.
The winter teams were they all had great seasons. I don't know the records of hockey, but both the boys and the girls basketball, the girls were CAC champs, the boys were CAC second place. I'm happy to say that neither team had to quarantine at any point during the season. And I think they all had a lot of great fun, and they were very glad to be able to play. And as a senior parent, we were very glad to be able to watch one game.
Awesome. That's great.
I apologize. I don't know. I know swimming, hockey happened. I don't know.
Swimming was 2-2. I think I heard that. Only 4 meets. Hockey was 7-3-1. I think they won. They beat Essex for the CAC title. So in the abbreviated season, we did very well.
We sure did.
Good, good. All right. Yes.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Muhammad Ali.
I was going to say for the freshman exploratory, the freshmen have completed 11 cycles and they started the 12th cycle this week. And by the time they finish the 14th cycle, they should be participating in shop selection.
Oh, okay, thank you. I think my grandson has changed his mind like 3 or 4 times on which shop he wants to be. It's like, wait till the next one. Wait till the next one.
And with co-op as well, at the beginning of this month, 165 seniors are currently out on co-op, which is great considering how hard it was for shop teachers to find jobs this year.
That is great.
But with that, said with co-op, there's also students are also competing in Skills USA district competition. And there's 155 students from 10th, 11th, and 12th graders that from all shops that are signed up. And hopefully the competition will be on Thursday, March 11th.
Okay.
That's great.
Good
luck.
Thank you.
And we got a few student concerns,
Okay.
especially in regards to remote learning.
Okay.
And with one of them being that some students were upset about no snow days. I mean, a lot of students as well also didn't mind having no snow days considering the amount of actual academic time that we lost last year. And additionally, Wednesdays are extremely stressful for most students. They're finding that the asynchronous Wednesdays, they're getting loaded with a lot of work that's due at the end of the day. But that has been addressed by now and the workload has been dropped down. And the biggest one that I've been hearing a lot recently is if graduation will be in person, if prom is in person, since that is a public event being held right before it. But the only thing that we know that we could tell anyone right now is that both graduation and prom are only possibilities at the moment, not a given. So
Correct.
Right. I think that's what it is. It's just a possibility. We're hoping.
We hope. We can only hope that. We can only
Right.
hope. Yeah. But I appreciate I'm glad you guys stepped forward. This board is needs your input. You're the voices of Shawsheen. Bring forth anything that's on your mind.
Yeah.
And this is why we have student reps. Thank you for both of you.
And we'll keep you informed.
I do like that both prom and graduation are already being discussed and there are plans being made. I much prefer that than, oh, well, we're not gonna be able to have it. Let's just give up now. I like that we're trying to have it and we're trying to move forward. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen, but at least we're trying. I give us credit for that.
I know.
Well, I can assure you, we are trying very hard, and we have already started to survey the senior class about the prom, so we can get an idea of how many students would be in attendance to kind of assess that against social distancing and capacity requirements of the venue. And at this point in time, we are, we are hopeful that, we can have a semi-normal graduation. We may not be able to have full families there, but we certainly hope to be able to have all the seniors together and participating. That's our goal. Ms. Cook and her staff are working very hard to get that, to accomplish that. We have received a lot of support from the PTO and the parents organization who've asked to partner with us on senior events. And we have a whole bunch of different ideas that we're trying to work through, including some traditional events like Shop Olympics and things like that. Those are also in the planning phases, and we're hopeful that some permutation or combination of those will be able to be held and provide some normalcy for our seniors who have really had a very difficult year.
You two students are seniors, I assume, right?
Yes, we're both seniors.
Okay, all right, that's great. I'm glad to have you. I know you probably feel cheated. I know it's just been a weird year, weird couple of years, kids. So I know. Hang in there. You'll laugh about this someday. You'll hope.
It's a new experience. So
yeah, definitely.
Thank you very much. And you actually don't have to stay and listen to the rest of this,
No, you can, unless you want to.
But you're welcome to.
You're welcome, but you don't have to.
You're dismissed.
We talked yesterday. We had a nice meeting with them, and I told them they were happy that you would be happy to let them go do their homework or find some other interesting thing to do. But you're welcome to stay as well.
No, we'll see you next month. Anything on your mind, bring it forth. Thanks, kids.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next thing, approval of bills.
Let's see.
I think we have,
Howard.
we actually have 4 legal bills, one from Howard and one from McAvoy.
I'll make a motion. We approve the bill for Howard Greenspan. You want to do them separately, Pat? Or you want to
Yes, I do. I want them
Okay.
separate. Okay.
All right, I'll make a motion. We approve the bill for Howard Greenspan for legal services.
Second.
Okay, okay, Ron.
Yes, I vote yes.
Ms. Gillis,
Yes.
Mr. Peterson,
Yes.
Mrs. Bedian,
Yes,
Mr. McIntyre,
Yes.
Mr. Moffett,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes. Unanimous vote. Need another motion?
Make a motion. We have the bill for Nettle, McAvoy, and Joyce.
Yeah, I think
Or
there's 3. I think we can put
3?
those all together.
All right, let's just, we'll do that. I make a motion. We approve the bills for Nettle, McAvoy, and Joyce in the amount of $4,742.90.
Second.
All right, Mr. Fusco,
Yes.
Ms. Gillis,
Yes.
Mr. Peterson,
Yes.
Mrs. Bedian,
yes,
Mr. McIntyre,
Yes.
Mr. Moffett.
Yes.
Chair votes yes, unanimous vote.
Thank you. We also have 2 other bills from Nuttall, McAvoy,
Oh, we
and
do?
Joyce.
Okay.
$938 and $3,203.50.
Didn't see that.
Okay.
can we get that combined?
Yes, you can combine them.
938 and, all right, there we go. All right, I'll make a motion. We approve the bills for Nettle, McAvoy, that's amount of, where we passed, let's see, I lost my place here.
938,
9:38 and
3203.
32:03.
Okay, can I have a second?
Second,
All right, Mr. Fusco,
Yes.
Mr. McIntyre,
Yes.
Mr. Moffett,
Yes.
Mrs. Median,
yes.
Mr. Peterson,
Yes.
Ms. Gillis.
Yes.
The chair votes yes, unanimous vote. Okay, we had 2 thank you letters for flowers and that we had sent for a few funerals.
And
We
a
can
thank
approve
you
the minutes.
email.
We're gonna approve the minutes.
We do the minutes.
Oh, I missed the minutes. Ah.
All right, Pat, that's okay. That's why I got you back here.
Always room for grace.
All right, I need a motion. Do we get a motion?
So moved.
A second?
Second,
Second.
Okay, Mr. Fusco,
yes.
Ms. Gillis,
Yes.
Mr. McIntyre,
Yes.
Mrs. Median,
Yes.
Mr. Moffett,
Yes.
Mr. Peterson,
Mr. Peterson abstains.
and the chair votes yes. All right, so we already talked about correspondence.
Correspondence, yes. I've got the letters, email.
Yes, all right. Now it's time for public comment. Do we have anyone?
Yes, we do. So just let me put the phone numbers up.
Okay,
So the phone numbers are up on your screen again. And we do have a caller. With the last 3 numbers of their phone number 907. So if that, let me see if I can. If you, if that caller could please identify themselves, they've been added to the room and make your public comment, please.
Hi, can you hear me?
We
Yes.
can.
All right, it's Doreen Haley again, sorry. I wanted to welcome the student reps first, and I know they're not there right now, but it was nice to see them and hear from them as they're very important and they have a lot of good information. And it's nice to have them at the school committee meetings, and hopefully they'll be there every month. What I wanted to ask too, is there any way you guys can consider putting some kind of presentation on the agenda for like with the social emotional piece with these kids? I know some other school committees are doing it, but it would be nice information for parents to be able, or guardians to be able to look back at and see what's available at the school. And it's such a hard time right now for these kids, and maybe the kids have some ideas for this too. So I don't know if that's something you guys can check into.
What do you think, Brad? What are we looking for? Do you mean numbers and stuff that they can call, or are you talking about what we actually do at school for social emotional learning?
Yeah, so what you guys do in the school and what else can we do to help the kids? How can we get them more involved? Just it's hard for right now. It's actually even for the teachers. I mean, the teachers need support and the staff needs support, you know, also like the kids. But if there was some place to go to say, this is what we have, I mean, it's nice to hear that because not everybody knows what's going on in the guidance department and the health department.
All right, Mr.
If the
Jackson,
committee, if the committee
something
would like, if the committee would like me to put, ask Mr. Albert to put a presentation together around that, we'd be glad to put that in a future agenda.
Or
If
even,
that's the committee's
could he
wish.
have something actually on our website?
Yeah, available numbers with information.
Right, something on our website that
Right.
talks about, you know, different things that's available.
And it may not require meeting time.
Right,
Right, that, we certainly can add that, put a, excuse me, a kind of a resource guide.
yes, yeah.
Or
Yeah.
or a helpline number, something that would make them feel they have an access.
Brad, could we also add to that, opportunities for that the students have outside of learning? So that if they don't play sports, they can't get together with their friends, what other options are there? Like, for example, there was that article about the teacher book club, which is a great opportunity for the teachers to get together outside of work, basically. I mean, even though they're on Zoom and it's, and what opportunities are there for the kids? Because they're probably told, the kids are probably told about it in school, but maybe the freshman kids don't go home and tell their parents about it. And if the parents had a list to access, it's probably on the website, but maybe sort of move it to the front for a little bit or something.
Absolutely.
Just so a link for them to find that.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And one other quick question. Are we doing breakfast at the Shawsheen Tech now? I know they're working on it.
I don't know the answer to that question. Melanie, do you know the answer to that question, or should we get back to Ms. Healy with the answer to that?
I think we have to get back to her.
I'll get back to you with that answer, Ms. Healy.
Okay.
All right, no, thank you. I know they were working on it. I just didn't know if it was actually happening because I know there was confusion before with the meals, and I know Mr. Roach does wonderful work, but maybe if that's put out there too, it's just anything positive for these kids, I think would be really good because it's such a hard time, like you all know, even for us. So, I think anything we can put out there, the better. And if parents don't have to keep looking for it, I think that's better too, because I don't even know how we check in on these kids that are having a hard time, getting to school or at home, or, I don't even know what they do at the tech. So it'd be nice to hear. I know Bill Rickard just did a big presentation, which honestly, they don't do everything they said, but if we could make it kind of shorter and do something, but the list would be a good start to give the information out, because even maybe the kids would access it and give us some information.
Thank you for that suggestion.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Have a good night.
You too.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
And I have no other callers waiting.
All right. Should we wait a minute?
Well,
No.
the person, again, you can queue up
They can queue in.
while
Okay.
someone is waiting.
All right. Okay, then. All right, superintendent's report.
Yes, just briefly, I wanted to add my congratulations to that of our student school committee for our winter sports teams who did a fabulous job, and a tremendous thank you to our coaches, game officials. Thank you so much to the parents for their flexibility, and they really, I know it was hard for parents to not be able to be present when their children were playing, and I really was very touched by the fact that they were so appreciative of that their students had the opportunity, that they parents made the most of it, and were appreciative of our efforts to provide video access to their games wherever we could. As the student said, we are beginning what's called colloquially as Fall 2, which is football cheerleading and volleyball and football. And they are all fighting for parking lot space as we speak. But with the volleyball team obviously working out of the gym. So, and actually the cheerleaders are going to be working out of the cafeteria. So it's the football team that's relegated to the parking lot. While I speak of the gym, my other big announcement and my only other report to you tonight is that we have selected a date for the dedication ceremony of the Coach Mark Donovan Gymnasium. It is going to take place on Thursday, March 18th at 7 p.m. This is going to be closed to the public, unfortunately, due to COVID. We are going to be physically hosting about 20 to 25 members of Coach Donovan's family. Will be physically present in the foyer of the gym for a dedication ceremony. And that dedication ceremony will be broadcast live through YouTube, just like this meeting is. We will have a series of speakers. Ms. Muse will be in attendance. Mr. Fusco will be in attendance, speaking as the man who made the motion. And we will have a student speak. We will have Coach Athletic Director Costabile will say some remarks. We will have the former principal,
Dr. Killis.
Dr. Canellis will be speaking, and I will be serving as master of ceremonies, and then we'll be revealing the plaques for Coach Donovan, and allow Coach Donovan to make some final remarks before we close the evening. I am very excited about this event, and we'll be sending out invitations to members of the school committee who unfortunately we cannot accommodate physically in the building, as well as a long list of folks, friends of Coach Donovan. Will be getting formal invitations to view the event in the mail with the link, so that they'll have a keepsake. And then right before the meeting, we'll be sending out the program for the event as well. So people will have some physical keepsake of the event, even though they'll be unable to attend physically. So I've gotten a lot of cooperation, obviously, from Coach Donovan and his family, and we look forward to a great event. So I wanted to make that announcement, and we're really looking forward to it. And I know Coach Donovan is deeply humbled by the honor that the school committee's bestowed upon him.
Thank you, Brad, for making this happen.
This is not my strength. I'm not a party.
know.
I'm not a party
No.
planner.
No,
Thank God for Karen.
no, I know. Karen, yes, Karen Fayola did a great job too. Yeah, this is from the heart. So this is going to be a great day. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you, Brad.
All right.
That completes my report.
Okay, thank you. Subcommittee reports, budget subcommittee. I think this is you, Kent.
I get the handoff.
Yeah.
Yeah, so budget subcommittee, we met on February 4th. It was Miss Muse, Mr. Fusco, myself, and Mr. McIntyre, Superintendent Jackson, and Assistant Superintendent Hagman. I gotta say the presentation Brad put together was really good, really helpful. That's why he had recommended bringing that forward. So I think that was really helpful. So I appreciate you doing that, Brad and Melanie. That was very helpful to kind of review for people, especially new, for a lot of new members. So I definitely appreciate that. So yeah, basically everybody, it was a 400 to support the fiscal 22 operating budget per Dr. Jackson's recommendation. So we as the budget subcommittee put forth to the entire committee to a recommendation to approve the operating budget for fiscal year 22.
Okay. All righty. Does anybody have any questions?
We had a couple of questions. I had on the amount given to the principal and the academic director. This was brought up in our meeting. And so in discussion with Chairman Muse, I thought almost a 10% raise was really a lot of money at this time. And the academic director was increased the same amount, a similar, I'm just going to bring up my budget here. I would like it to addend, make an addendum. And that would be to, as Chairman Muse and I have discussed, to 5% raise for the principal and 2.75 for academic director.
And I think both Ron and I have looked at other systems, and we're not talking about other voc techs. We're talking about the towns we work, that we come from, and compared it to the principals in our high schools that have over 10 years of experience, and the academic director who has only been here, not even, has she even been here 6 months?
September.
Oh, she has, yeah. And I think in other systems, that usually goes to a assistant principal of the high school usually does that job. And she is certainly in that range for the assistant principal of a high school. So it was hard that night when we voted yes, and I know we shouldn't come up now and say, well, we've got some issues with it, but
I
we had
brought
issues that night.
I brought it to Superintendent Jack's
Right.
to his attention, and I understand what his thinking was, but I'm looking over my notes here, and we are offering a principal of a let's see, where are we here? Where was I? Lost my notes. 7.99. Okay, so I would just think I would like to make a motion to amend that to 5%. The salary would be $140,980. And the academic director, I would be in line with 2.75 that all the other administrators are getting. And that salary would then be at 466 at this time.
Can I make an observation and a comment, Madam Chairman?
Yes, Mr. Peterson.
I'm not sure why we vary at all from the percentage raise given to any of the administrators. Honestly, I commend Ron for his comments, but I think that the raises across the board for administrators should be the same. I was going through the budget as Ron was speaking. Most of those raises, as Ron indicated, are about 2.75%. And I think the issue with this budget is, and as the superintendent indicated, is that I'm going through most of the equipment lines, many of which have been reduced. And I think our issue now is we're hamstrung with salaries. I think will put us in a position in order to present a reasonable budget to any of our communities. We're cutting in other areas, which we've never had to do before. And it's not, I kind of forewarned that this was going to be the case. I do have a couple of questions, Brad. In a couple of the departments, it looks like you've got an addition of staff in special ed, I understand.
We are moving, there's one area where one shop where we're going up one staff and down another just to flip. It's a move that's already been made. It's just the budget's catching up with it.
Are those the same people? The programming and web looks like it's additional staff.
Yeah.
And information support services. Is that the same person moving from one department to another?
It was a new hire that we hired out of one into the other. Melanie can actually probably explain.
Be on the call.
We had a retiree and that left. So all we're doing is we're replacing a retiree with a programming and web instructor versus an ISSN instructor. We're moving more towards the programming and web area versus the ISSN.
Thanks, Melanie.
I just have a question. I tend to agree with Mr. Peterson about a percentage rate rather than a figure. I think for consistency, I'm much more comfortable with the percentage across salaries than making one a certain figure and another a certain figure. I mean, help me understand why that would happen. I think the percentage is much more important.
So one of the challenges I'm finding at Shawsheen, and it's a challenge that you find throughout education, is that the fact of the matter is that all of our teachers who are not at top step are getting raises far in excess of the COLA increase that was voted by the school committee, because they're also getting either step or step and lane changes. And what ends up happening is that there gets to be this compression where salaries of teachers go up at a certain rate. And if our administrative salaries do not adjust at least as quickly as that, then the compression between top teacher salaries and administrative salaries gets to the point where you're unable to attract and retain quality administrators, because they don't want to leave the teaching profession because it's not worth the extra time and effort. So for example, some of the area vocational schools that we have, so if you take like the bottom right-hand corner, the maximum teacher salary at Whittier Tech, the principal is paid 156% of the top teacher salary. At Greater Lowell, 157%. At Essex Tech, 139%. At Shawsheen, it's 124%. So my point is that this school committee has made a policy decision that it wants to provide its teachers, and it's a policy decision with which I agree, by the way, that investing in a high quality teaching staff is a very worthwhile investment. And you make that investment and it shows in the quality and the salaries that we pay our teachers. And I think in my view, it is equally important to attract and retain quality administrators who have shown that they are performing at a standard that we expect at Shawsheen. And so that was the reason behind my recommendation. One of the positions, the position that was just new to the person we hired this year, I brought that person in at the budgeted salary amount. That person has been an administrator for 4 years prior to coming to Shawsheen. I made the call, and perhaps it was the wrong one, rather than to go to the school committee and ask for a budget adjustment at the time of hire. I made the call to not do that. So that was the reasons behind my recommendation. I understand the committee's concern about this. I think maintaining equity between our teaching staff and our administrative staff is a critically important thing to do. And sometimes that requires us to make what can look like decisions that kind of jump out at you on a piece of paper. And that, frankly, is the nature of the fact that we have individual salaries budgeted in line items for administrators, where teacher salaries are budgeted collectively. So those salaries do, I understand, they do stick out. So I respect whatever decision the committee makes. I made my recommendation thoughtfully and based on my experience and what I felt was best for Shawsheen. I understand you have a lens as well, and we'll respect whatever decision you make about that.
Can I make a comment, Madam Chairman? I think the argument that, and I know that a lot of districts use it, a lot of municipalities use it, but I think the argument that the administrators be paid a different percentage of what the highest paid teacher or whatever the group is below them is faulty logic. They use that in Methuen. How'd that work out for them? you've got police
Well,
captains.
Bob, I'm not sure how fair that is to compare
400,000.
those-
It's the
to
same
compare those-
philosophy though, Brad. That's how they got to where they were.
Well,
And
we can, why don't we keep this argument, not this discussion on a realistic plane here?
Well, you're the one that brought it up. You're the one that brought up the communities that use that formula to pay people. And I
No,
think
I'm not suggesting it was a formula. I was doing a comparison. They do
Correct.
not use a formula.
correct. But
I'm
they
not suggesting a comparison.
They use that formula to pay their, we don't use that. And I don't know about my colleagues. I would never support that, never.
I'm
And I
sorry.
agree with Nancy. I think the raises should be uniform. I'm looking at no lines in particular. But a lot of those people that are getting the 2.75, they're actually being punished for their longevity, in my opinion.
If I understand it correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, teachers, everybody gets the COLA raise, and then teachers get additional raises as they become more experienced, but administrators don't. Is that correct?
That's
Yeah.
true until teachers reach the top step, and then at that point in time, they only get the COLA raises.
Okay, so, and I see your point that, we're at 120%, some other schools that are 130, 140, 150%, but this may not be the year to do it. Like, yes, we want to make it equitable to other tech schools, but like Bob was right, we're making all these cuts. Maybe this isn't the year to give them a 10% and a 5% raise. But maybe we want to do a little more than a 5 and a 2.5. Is there a middle ground? That's sort of, I'm trying to be the peacemaker here, kind of, gets them a little closer to that 140, 150% without making the budget quite so painful for us.
All right, can I go back to when you talk about the highest thing on the teacher scale, right? Now, we're talking about a teacher who has a doctorate degree, has worked 10 years. Is that the highest? Is that what you're
Bottom
comparing
right.
it to?
Bottom right, Pat, would be the.
Yes, well,
Yes.
probably 12 or 13 years as a teacher, yeah.
Okay,
The bottom,
I get it.
the bottom right is what, Melanie, 16 years, 17? What's the bottom right now? How many years?
Oh, I see, I don't know what it is.
Does Melanie have, are you on the
I want to say 16. There's 16.
16
it's
steps? I don't have it in front of me. So 16 steps, I know it changed during my teaching career. Bottom right is 16 steps.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay,
So once you hit that, the bottom right, the only thing you're getting is the cost of living raise.
Correct.
right. But that is someone who's got a doctorate, who's been working for 16 years. They,
Oh, not necessarily a doctorate, but you've been around a while and you have a lot of
Right.
credits. Yeah.
Yeah, can I make a
I
comment?
don't know. I just don't like that comparison at all, but okay.
Can I make a comment?
Yes, go ahead.
Chairman? Yeah, I don't see any reason why any administrator, especially one that may not be as experienced as some of the senior teachers, should necessarily be getting paid any significant amount more. So what? So you're an assistant principal. Is that any more important than being the department head of some, some academic or folk program? I don't see it. I mean, if I want to be an administrator, I'd rather be an administrator. I don't need to have a 40% up turn in my salary to do that job. It doesn't make any sense to me. If some school districts want to pay people 140% more than their top teachers, let them do it. But I don't see why we have to.
I think our teachers are primo. They're the ones we have to keep and encourage. Not that we don't need good administrators. Question, are administrators ever put in a position to teach?
No.
Not traditionally, no. They have, for the
started-
most part, with very few exceptions, of which I am one, but most administrators have been you can't come from the teaching profession.
But do not teach.
Not currently, no.
Okay.
They have been teachers, so.
I think.
I think that it's also, we just have to remember, and, you know, I can count, so I'm not gonna beat this dead horse here. But, you know, administrators work full-time, full year round. I didn't insult this committee by doing a per diem analysis of what administrators are paid per diem versus top right-hand corner teachers. Because I think that is actually the faulty argument. But I do, you know, I do not want anybody misinterpreting my comments here as being derogatory towards teachers. We need excellent teachers, and teachers are the lifeblood of Shawsheen Tech. I support the school committee's decisions to provide them with the contract that they've provided them. I just think that that should go both ways.
Melanie, I ask you because you're the senior in knowledge for this for Brad. What did we do last year or the year before or the year before that? Have there been adjustments like this for the administrators historically?
No, they typically get what the other unions get, the teachers get.
Thank you. I mean, I don't want to slam the administrators either. You know, obviously we don't.
No, we need everybody on the team. There's no doubt about it. I just am trying to be as equitable and not biased. And I'm still in the learning mode here, guys. So forgive me if I don't quite get it.
This is not the year for extra raises for anybody. Anybody who's getting a raise this year is lucky. Okay, as far as I understand, the Bedford teachers did not get any increase this year due to COVID.
Not even luck.
We're lucky that we're not negotiating, that they got their contract last year. Yes. I know what you mean. Yes, Glenn. Yes.
So
2.75 across the board, as Mr. Peterson said, it would be okay. I mean, what's the will of the board here? How do people feel?
I agree with that.
Melanie, I do have a question. When we hired the new principal, what was her salary based on?
Ms. Cook?
Yes.
I don't know. That was the former superintendent. I don't know how he did the math. I honestly couldn't answer that.
I know, because the previous principal had been here forever. Well,
And right.
Right.
Yeah.
He was here 44 years.
Yeah.
So
Not as principal, but I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
How does her straight
he had
number?
different responsibilities too. So, you know, he was kind of doing everything, as you recall. the academic
Yes.
principal.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Ms. Cook's, okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Don.
We've been discussing percentages, but how does her number salary compare to the other technical schools? I know it's a lower percentage, but how does it compare flat numbers? You know,
The ones that I was able to review, it's in the lower third.
okay, thank you.
Another question, are we concerned about losing administrators if this doesn't go ahead?
I'm more concerned about sending a message of respect to every member of our staff. And I think our goal should be to attract and retain quality teachers, administrators, paraprofessionals, secretaries, clerical, cafeteria, custodians.
No argument to that. I just think I agree with Glenn that I don't think this is the year to rock the boat.
And Melanie, the assistant principal is 2.75. Was that? I know you sent
Yeah,
me.
I had a typo on one of them.
Yeah, you sent me an email on that.
Yeah, it just,
Thank you.
sorry about that.
No, that's okay.
All right, I will make a statement here because I've been here a long time, and I do know that we have given administrators more money than the COLA, than what we had agreed to with other unions. But I just had an issue with it. It was very high this time. And that's why when Ron said maybe 5, because she is lower than I think the principals at our area high schools. Well, I think the position is lower, the amount of money. So I would consider the 5% for the principal position.
I would agree with Patty.
That was my recommendation.
Yeah.
Just to understand, Brad, there's a lot of numbers thrown around here. Can you restate for everybody, like the other caller that called in, like the reason for those two again? Because like to Nancy's point, like just so I can kind of, we're throwing around a lot of numbers here, like what the reason for those two adjustments were for again, just so everybody can, I mean, we're kind of throwing a lot of.
Sure. I mean, it's my, so there, and this is very awkward, and I apologize to these two administrators who have to watch this at some point in time, but my recommendation was based on an analysis of equity as it relates to similar positions in similar districts. And I don't know the history of what the current principal, how, what calculations were made when the principal was hired. All I can do is tell you that I want to make sure that like we make sure that we pay a competitive wage to our teachers, that we're paying a competitive and fair wage to the principal. So I felt that adjustment that I recommended in the budget would adjust her to the point where she was paid for the number of years of experience she had as a principal in a vocational school. The director of academics was a new hire this year, and comes from an academic background in a K-12 high school, and has 4 years of experience as an assistant principal in that job, and then moved in, and then accepted the job at Shawsheen. There was a budget number for that position, and rather than go to the school committee and seek an adjustment at the time of hire, because I was concerned that this individual didn't have any vocational experience. If you recall, I did go to the committee and say, listen, we've got this great special ed candidate who's got tons and tons of experience. We
Right.
have to make some adjustments. And the committee, I'm very grateful, supported that. And I think that decision has been proven to be a good one on behalf of on the committee's part. I couldn't make that same recommendation at the time because I was a little concerned that this person was coming in without any experience at a vocational high school, particularly. But I have found that concern to be unwarranted, as she has acclimated herself here and understood the complication, the difference between a comprehensive high school. You're right, Patty, that's not the right word, but that's what they call it. But and vocational high school is, you have to understand your place, the place of academics in a vocational technical high school. And sometimes it takes compromise and a big view, the ability to take the big picture view, because everything is important that our students are seeing, not just the academics, but the vocational side. And she didn't have the experience that made me confident that she'd be able to do that. Now that I've watched her work for the past 6 months, that concern has gone. And I wanted to make an adjustment to her salary to bring her in line with where I would have brought her in originally, plus the 2.75% increase. So I appreciate the school committee's point of view on this. I really do. you know, I respect whatever decision the committee makes. And we'll leave it at that.
Are we going to be setting a precedent by going beyond the percentage for these people? Who's to say others aren't going to be expecting it as well?
I think we should always be looking at salaries to make sure that they are competitive with other school districts.
But that could go on forever. I mean, you can always find other schools to compete with.
Well, I mean, that's part of the art here. I agree with you. don't
My
wanna be the-
question, my original question is, are we concerned about losing anybody? That's my main concern. We are caught up in a real crunch. Everybody is paying the price. Nobody is having an easy ride in this past year.
I have not had that conversation with either of these individuals.
You don't have that sense. Okay. I mean, I don't
No, I
want
didn't say that. I have not had that neither individual has expressed any desire to leave Shawsheen.
I don't want to lose anybody. I don't think anybody wants to lose anybody. The family we have, the team we have is the team we want to keep. But
I know that I think they're both doing a great job. And I don't look at this at all as a comment on their ability or their success or any of that. I'm trying to look at it from a numbers standpoint, in that making it more equitable for them without too big a hit on the budget.
Madam Chairman, if I may, I actually agree with Taryn, and I don't apologize to anyone. This isn't about the principal.
Right.
This isn't about the academic director. This
Not
is
at
about
all.
the propriety or impropriety of giving somebody a 7.99% raise or a 9.99% raise. And I won't support either one of them.
I think it's a bad precedent.
But what about Ron's suggestion of going to a 2.5 and 5%?
Well-
Or does that make out to your 7 something and 9 something, Bob?
I just think that, honestly, Taryn, I think that was, how would that be equitable for the person that's going from 9.97 to 2.75, and then the other one going from 7.99 to 5? I just, personally, I think when you take a job like that, you agree to a salary. And I do agree with some of Brad's comments. I think that over time, there is more of an inequitable spread amongst employees. But keep in mind that the employees that we're talking about honestly haven't been here for that long. They haven't.
But one's been here longer than the other. Do we
Correct.
look at them separately? Because one has been here 6 months and one has been here, I don't know.
As a principal, I think she's been here 4 years as a
Correct.
principal, as a teacher longer.
Third year,
Well,
right?
so I understand. Those numbers jumped right out at me. I'm like, what are we doing here? I know we got a lot of COVID times here, but even in a non-COVID time, that would jump out at you too. So
I agree.
2.75 is fair enough for me. I understand what Brad's trying to say. Yes, we want to make these positions equitable, and people want to, I know a lot of time and effort and a lot of hours. I understand. But if we go to the towns with this, are they going to say, what are you doing? What do you think, Bob?
No, they should say that. They should say that, Ron. They should look at that and ask the same questions that we're asking tonight. Or they're not doing their jobs. So.
Right. I mean, anyway. So Pat, what,
All right, well, who wants to make a
Make a
motion,
motion.
and what do you want to make the motion of?
I thought Mr. Fusco made the motion
Well,
for
2.5 and 5.
I said initially, what the will of the board is, I
2.75.
said 2.75 across the board. Unless people are totally object to that, but Mr. Peterson seems to be in support of that also.
I will second that motion.
I
So
will,
nothing-
I second that.
So nothing higher for either of the 2 positions we were considering.
Across the board, it's across the
Not this
board.
year, not this
No,
year.
I know. And I think that, and we'll revisit this next year. Yes,
Yes, I think we could
2.75.
I would happily revisit it next.
exactly, Nancy.
And let's see what
2.75
we're looking at.
across the, yeah, exactly. 2.75 across the board. Nothing against these people. I
Not
just
at
think that-
all, not at all.
No.
It's
Okay,
not
let's vote.
personal. It's a matter of how to make a decision.
That's it. And I
Okay.
think that this keep it fair and equitable. And
Right.
I understand,
All right,
that, but that's
Okay.
my, I'll second that.
All right, and so this is just to change that part of the budget, and then we'll vote for the whole budget as amended.
Correct.
Mr. Moffett,
Yes, that's me.
Mr. McIntyre,
Yes.
Mrs. Bedient,
Yes,
Mr. Peterson,
Yes.
Ms. Gillis,
Yes,
Mr. Fusco,
Yes,
and the chair votes yes, so unanimous vote. So now I need a motion for the whole budget.
so moved.
make a, okay, second, Nancy.
All right, Mr. Moffett,
Yes,
Mr. McIntyre,
Yes.
Mrs. Bedient,
Yes,
Mr. Fusco,
Yes,
Mr. Peterson.
That would be as amended, Madam Chairman.
Yeah, as
as
amended.
amended.
Yes.
Yes.
Ms. Gillis,
yes,
chair votes yes. The budget is voted in as amended.
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Rep.
That was hard. That was
No,
not easy.
No, it's whatever.
It
It
is
brought
hard.
up good discussion. It was good. It was good.
All right, I don't think there's
Next, yeah.
any.
Go ahead,
old
next.
business,
What do you got?
right?
What's on the agenda?
New business, out-of-state travel request.
Yes, we have a request for seeking permission for the business technology students to attend the Microsoft Office Championship competition in Orlando, Florida, per the request of the Director of Vocational and Technical Programs, Dave Norkowitz.
And so 7 students qualified for that national.
That's awesome. That
It
is
is
really awesome.
that's great. Is everybody comfortable traveling?
I was just going to ask that question.
The
Is-
7
The
students
end of
and the
June, the end of
chaperone?
June.
It's my practice to not offer the opportunity to do this until the school committee approves the vote, because I don't want to put, I don't want to give students the impression that it's possible and then go to you and in case you say no. I think it puts school committees in a very bad position. So we
Now
haven't.
that, thank
so-
you. Yeah.
Okay, I need a motion.
So
Can I-
motion.
Make a motion, we approve the trip.
All right, Nancy, do you have a
Just a
question?
question, where does the money come from? Is it already budgeted for travel? We have a budget item for that?
Melanie?
Melanie?
Yes, we have money for Skills USA when they win those competitions and travel, and because of the adjustments made to it, we're using that same line item for the students. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Mr. Fusco,
Yes,
Mr. McIntyre,
Yes.
Mr. Moffett,
yes,
Mrs. Bedient,
Yes,
Mr. Peterson,
Yes.
Ms. Gillis.
Yes,
Chair votes yes. So that has been approved.
congratulations to those kids. Great
Yeah.
job.
yeah, that's all. I think that's exciting.
good
It
luck.
is.
Awesome.
All right,
Wish
next.
I could go.
All right, Nance, let's all go.
Daughter Business Program of Studies.
Yes, in a, you have in front of you the revisions, recommended revisions to the Shawsheen Tech Program of Studies. Ms. Johnson, our Director of Academics, has joined us. If you have any questions,
Hello,
Ms.
Ms.
Cook
Johnson.
Ms. Cook is going to be should be joining us momentarily. And if you have any questions, it's obviously a very extensive document. Poor Karen was pulling her hair out trying to email it to everybody because the PDF was so large. So this would be an opportunity for you to ask questions prior to voting on its approval.
Okay.
I have questions.
All right, Nancy.
Thank you
Mrs.
for
Bedient.
joining us, Jess and Danica.
I can't pull it up. I can't find it, but in my notes, I am a firm believer in civic education. And I went through the social studies and there was a couple of places where it talks about revisiting founding documents. One place does it say Constitution. And it says revisit founding documents, but what basic civics do the kids get that they have to get? I don't see it anywhere. Am I missing it?
So if you look in the 9th grade year, the majority of students at Shawsheen take a civics elective along with a digital literacy elective during their freshman year. Civics is embedded into the US 1 and US 2 curriculum, which is required curriculum by the state.
Okay, it's part of it, but it was like barely in there. And that's an elective, so there's nothing that's really required to understand how government works.
US 1 and US 2 are required courses.
Oh, I thought you said it was elective.
No, the civics class is elective.
There's only one, there's no real civics class. It's just
Century Civic Literacy.
right. And it's got very little, it just says, okay. So then they have to, there's not that much, it doesn't say anything about the Constitution or the Declaration or how government works or how you vote or how a bill is made. I'm sorry, this is a passion of mine. And I really wonder if the teachers are able to enhance on that, elaborate on that, or is it stuck to us? Do they ever get to that point where they can discuss what it means to be a voter and a citizen?
Yeah, absolutely. That is essentially what all of the social studies standards at the high school level are aligned to. And that's sort of the definition of civic literacy, is how do you become an educated voter? How do you become involved in society? And it's a big, the state has been looking at civics for the past few years and really made sure that the social studies curriculum is aligned to that. And our social studies department is working extremely hard to make sure that that's happening.
It's not reflected in the description, and I'm very happy to hear you say that. Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Mrs. Fedian, and yeah, that was one of my issues too, because we have asked for years for a civics class.
I mean, a real civics class.
Right.
Yeah, and I'd be happy to provide a little more context to that. You know, one of the challenges we have certainly experienced at Shawsheen with the program of studies over the past few years is our 8-period schedule has maintained the same, while the requirements at the state level and the demands from colleges have really evolved quite a bit. And so we're kind of busting at the seams in terms of fitting in all the courses we'd like to. So we know that we have to start looking at a potential revamp to create a schedule that is driven by those curricular needs. Another piece on the civics point that I'd just like to make you aware of, and I really credit the passion of the educators in the social studies department and the commitment of Ms. Johnston here, putting together and bringing in some professional development for that department that starts tomorrow to start analyzing civics education in another light, despite the constraints in place. So they are definitely prioritizing it as well. So it's
awesome.
Great to hear that you're passionate about that.
It means everything, that a kid has to graduate knowing what his responsibilities are, not just his rights, but his responsibilities. And I feel very strongly about that. And I don't think it was reflected in the description, and I apologize for being critical, but I'm happy to hear your explanation. Thank you.
Thanks.
Hey, does anybody else have any questions?
Oh, a question. On the concurrent enrollment, the changes that were made, the highlighted areas, the additional part was teacher's recommendation, I noticed. Why was that added? Is that a state requirement?
That's a Middlesex Community College requirement. So for us to partner with them, we have to have that requirement in our course selection process.
My only question is, if the grades reflect the student's eligibility, could the recommendation change that, or is it just enhance it?
We really wouldn't. We never want to discourage kids from taking classes that they're interested in or challenging themselves, especially at this concurrent enrollment level. we really, something that Ms. Cook and I have been talking about is really trying to expand the opportunities for students at Shawsheen.
I think it's great to be able to do that. I think that's awesome. So as long as they're not discouraged, I'm just wondering if a teacher's recommendation would change their eligibility. That's all.
Well,
I think a major role of the teacher recommendation too is an opportunity for a meaningful conversation with the student, family, and the teacher around the decisions the child is making. You know, maybe a student would be looking to take statistics, and the teacher could put in like, actually the calculus course more aligns with your post-secondary goals. So it's another opportunity for that collaboration to occur.
Okay, so it just encourages a conversation, you're saying?
It's a huge piece of it, yes.
Yeah, okay, that's awesome. That's perfect. Thank you.
Okay, I did have a level ones, those are honor classes?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And about the concurrent classes, we originally had discussed they'd have a class, at least one class in their junior year. That has not happened. And we discussed this, I don't know, however long we've been doing this, 4 years?
Yeah, so one of the things we had started to plan for this year when we'd filled out the Student Opportunity Act paperwork last year was to put a mechanism in place to have 10th graders take the PSAT, because at the time that was a major requirement to take a concurrent enrollment, and then everything happened with COVID. We had been looking at potentially, because they are doing multiple measures now, and you can potentially use something other than the PSAT, and we had looked at potentially maybe in Comp 1 in the English department next year, but it requires sort of a broader conversation now that those changes have happened. So we haven't taken anything off the table, but we've been set back a little bit with all of the challenges that we've been dealing with.
Okay. All right.
And foreign languages is now world languages?
Yes.
Because they're not foreign. Just another lie. Just another lie. They're not really foreign.
That goes back and forth every 5 years.
And health has been changed to wellness.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
So, but when you write about it, you kept using the word health.
Yes, I noticed that.
Change to wellness.
That's a PE where PE equals health or something.
It's like students take 1 semester of sports and fitness and 1 semester of health.
Yeah, so the Massachusetts
wellness, or is it health?
They're different.
Massachusetts considers that domain physical education and wellness.
Okay.
But within the umbrella of physical education and wellness, there is physical education and there's health.
You guys don't make it easy. My gosh.
That's Jesse.
It is another language. You should call that another language. By the way, foreign languages, we only offer Spanish, right?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, so it's just one language.
Keep it simple. You want to start something else? Start Russian next week. No. Danica, the question I have, if we bring a SPED, we plan to hire a new SPED a teacher in special education. I'm trying to figure out how we want to work that into the science. I know there's plans to try to clean up the whole. So
yeah. So
tell me what you're going to do here.
Okay, so essentially, when I first analyzed the program of studies, I got feedback from every single department, and we really ran through like what it looks like to be a student at Shawsheen starting in 9th grade. What we discovered, because we run a traditional 8-period schedule, and we're a vocational school, so students are split part-time vocational, part-time academic, the opportunities for all students weren't necessarily equitable within the sequence of events that students would take, or the sequence of courses. So in sophomore year in particular, last year a science class was added, this 5024, and it was a co-taught science class for some students who were deemed by their liaison and their parent to be able to take a course that was co-taught and not have to take their educational strategies course. Okay, so that last year happened, and there was no formal training for the staff, but it was a good solution to part of the problem. What also happens is there's other levels of science in that sophomore year that students were recommended for that were also had to take this educational strategies class, which was causing a bubble of all special education students to not be able to take their history classes during their sophomore year and only taking it their junior year. And it's an all special education class with without necessarily the support needed for that population of students. So by taking away that level 4 class that existed this year, going back to just 3 levels in science, if we can co-teach the level 3 science class, all of them, that means all students are getting the skills from educational strategies 2 embedded in their curriculum, which is the perfect time to do this, because the first educational strategies class, students explicitly learn the skill. The second educational strategies class is meant to apply the skill. So by embedding the 2, you have a content specialist who's the biology teacher, and you have a special education teacher in the classroom together, helping the students access the curriculum and work on these skills simultaneously, which will also benefit all other regular education students in that classroom as well. It eliminates this bubble piece of students not being able to take history during their sophomore year. And it allows for teachers to have some training with co-teaching, and for us to really do this in a way that could be sustainable.
That's the 5023.
That's the 5023 class,
So
exactly.
The 9522 biodiversity and ecology, that is for what students?
So that is considered a C grid service delivery. So the students are taught by a teacher who is dual certified in both the subject area and in special education.
All right.
Jeff Albert and I have been running the numbers on these students. I think we still need to leave that course for a very, very small population of our students. If we have the staffing, we'd love to co-teach that so that those students don't have to take educational strategies.
I got you.
And that's the only reason.
I like what's going on, because I think at the bottom line, I think this is what it's going to work out, because the students, 9th and 10th grade students on IEPs are going to get enough biology, for example, as a former biology teacher, enough biology so they can actually go in and take an MCAS test. And we might not have been giving them a fair shot in the past. That's my 2 cents on the table.
And that's a great point, because the 9,000 level class was only one period.
Right.
So it's important that we made that equitable as well, and making that 2 periods, because students need equitable access to education.
And I do like the other point there to you and Jess, other senior electives, legal issues, intro to psychology. Yeah, well, that's awesome. Yeah, why not? Kids are looking for a class, that's good. So this is great. Good work. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're muted.
Guess we need a vote on this. I know.
Sorry.
We need a motion, Pat. I'll make a motion. We adopt the program of studies.
All right, I need a second. You got a second? Mr. Fusco,
Yes.
McIntyre. Mr. McIntyre, did you answer me?
Yes.
This says Beatty, it is.
I'm sorry, I've been sitting too long. Yes.
Mr. Peterson,
Yes.
Ms. Gillis,
Yes.
Mr. Moffett,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes. And thank you very, very much for all the work you did on this.
Thank
Thank
you.
Thank you. Thank you for coming in
A
tonight.
lot of work.
Thank
I know
you.
that's
Thank
good
you.
plan.
We'll see you tomorrow, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
ladies.
Appreciate it.
Great night.
All right. The next order of business is Superintendent Director Evaluation. I will tell you that I received 6 evaluations. And for some reason, you're in the outstanding mode.
Don't sound so disappointed. Thank you.
Okay, and
I'll
We're not gonna-
expect that bottle
It's
of
okay,
wine,
Brad.
Brad.
We're not gonna fire
Yeah,
you,
me
Brad. You
too.
can stay around, Brad. We love you, baby.
I would like to get the other 4, though, evaluations in at some point.
Let's go. Get your homework in. You don't pass the class. Let's go.
Okay.
I got my homework in, Pat.
Future agenda items. All right, I have a request from a community member about social media policy review. And perhaps we need a policy subcommittee at some point before the next meeting, just to talk a little about social media regarding staff, students, school committee members. I'm not sure we can actually make a policy for the staff and the school committee members, but there are recommendations out there from MASC about social media. So maybe
Well,
we'll just look at all that.
There's a really, MASC does have a online behavior of employees
Oh, okay.
policy that I think is actually pretty good.
Oh, okay.
And it kind of explicitly talks about staff members, and you could include school committee members in that as well. You know, when they represent Shawsheen, they have to be thus and so. And you know, it's not a bad policy to start with. And I know that my previous district developed one that we could also perhaps use as an example. So if you'd like to, before perhaps we bring this to the school committee, maybe we could bring it to the policy
Right,
subcommittee.
and
and
that's
see
what I
if we
said,
can
a
develop.
policy subcommittee meeting. Yep.
That would be like the do's and don'ts, Pat, so everybody, because I know social media is part of our world, and we just gotta be careful.
Right.
I know, Pat, I have to share this story. I was reading it on one of those insider school committee websites. I enjoy reading it every morning with my coffee there. There was a school committee, I don't know if you saw this, Brad. The whole school committee has resigned in
Oh, yeah,
San
California.
Francisco, San Francisco district. Look it up, folks. You'll laugh, but you'll say, "Oh my God!" The whole committee was forced to resign because they didn't realize the meeting was live, and they went ahead and talked about parents in ways that we would never talk about. And so they all resigned yesterday. So now that school district has no school committee. So please be careful what you say when you say, who do you say?
How can you not know you're going
Yeah,
live?
Nancy, it was crazy. Look it up. They didn't know the cameras were on. They made comments about, these parents and blah, 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 blah. And of course, it blew up all over social media. And it's, anyway, so be careful. Thank you.
Patty, who's on the policy subcommittee? I don't remember.
Not me.
I am Nancy is the chair, right? Yep.
I don't do social media, so I'm going to be
All
a
right,
big
it's
help.
good. It's good. It's good. Stay off. Stay
I
off.
think
Lisa is on it.
I think Lisa's on it. I don't have my list in front of me.
Who,
It's in the office.
Paul? Is Paul on it?
Oh, yes, Paul.
Yes, Paul's on it. Yeah.
So I'll get a couple of samples out to the committee, and
Okay.
Nancy, we can maybe work on scheduling a policy
My
subcommittee. meeting.
best. Don't know much about it, but okay.
We are scheduled to go into executive session, but then I don't know. I think we need to come out for a vote, don't we?
If you wish to vote publicly on the
Cafeteria and clerical units.
Yep.
Right.
Just for the record, I wanted to highlight 2 future agenda items. Hopefully at the next meeting, we'll be bringing forward the 2 draft 2022 school calendar. And I think we'll be getting a request for the Italy trip for next April, because the trip this year has been canceled. So we'll be getting a request for an out-of-state field trip to Italy for April 2022.
All right.
All right, and before we vote for the executive session, I just want to just say a few words about different things that have been in the newspapers, because we never mention it at our meetings. And so congratulate Miss McGinnis for her book club. It was a great idea. Congratulate Miss Bordeaux on getting back to playing basketball
She had a great year.
after her heart surgery, and wish her a healthy and active long life.
Patty, if I may add, she's thinking of playing basketball at Worcester State.
Is she really awesome?
Oh, that's awesome.
Awesome.
Here's a game I'll go see.
And curbside, and mention the curbside meals that the culinary students are preparing takeout meals for the public. So the menu is posted at www.shawsheentech.org.
They're good. I got one. They're good.
I did too.
And then there was an article in December regarding sophomore Jonathan Vlamis, who created a menorah. That was awesome. I don't know if
Wasn't that
anybody
cool?
saw that.
Oh, I love that
yeah, I did
menorah.
too.
That was really
Yeah.
creative.
So great job to our
Not bad.
students.
Tara and your daughter,
The
listen,
news media are getting things out.
Karen, I watched some of the games. Your daughter had a great year. And
She
I'm
did.
I'm glad they were able to play, Tara.
She really had a good time. She had
She
a
did a
great.
great job. Had a
All
great
right,
year.
so we need a vote to
Got a
go into
motion.
executive
Well, I'll
session.
make a motion. We go enter executive session.
And we're only coming out for one vote, and then we're going to adjourn, okay? I need a second. Did I get a second?
Second,
Okay, Mr. Fusco,
Yes.
Mr. McIntyre,
Yes.
Mrs. Bedian,
Yes.
Mr. Peterson,
Yes.
Ms. Gillis,
yes.
Mr. Moffett.
Yes.
All right, actually, I'm gonna change that. We might have two votes in public session at the end. I'm not sure.
Okay.
So
All right.
everybody stick with your vote. All right, so we're in executive session.
All right.
Okay, all right, we're back in session. I need a motion for the cafeteria agreement.
Make
I'll
the
make
So
motion.
moved.
Madam Chairman, to ratify the proposal with the cafeteria workers.
Second,
Second.
Second.
Mr. Fusco,
Yes.
Mr. McIntyre,
Yes.
Mr. Moffett,
Yes.
Mrs. Bedian,
Yes.
Mr. Peterson,
Yes.
Ms. Gillis.
yes.
Chair votes yes. All right, now to ratify the clerical unit.
So moved, Madam Chairman.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Fusco,
Yes.
Mr. McIntyre,
Yes.
Mrs. Bedian,
Yes.
Mr. Moffett,
Yes.
Mr. Peterson,
Yes.
Ms. Gillis,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes, unanimous vote. Now I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, Mr. Fusco,
Yes.
Mr. McIntyre,
Yes.
Mr. Moffett,
Yes.
Mrs. Bedian,
Yes.
Mr. Peterson,
Yes.
Ms. Gillis.
Yes.
Chair votes yes, this meeting is adjourned.
Bye. Thank you.